I'm interested in seeing how this matchup really pans out.
I'm here now, and we are ready to start.
Yes. So normally, like everyone gets Vietnam flashbacks from playing against Boros Energy, but now I think we have a rare moment where the Boros Energy player is traumatized.
Yeah, as for the matchup, I would. I'm gonna say that the Boros Energy is favored in this matchup because
Yeah,
they are both like can start with a really fast start, like having the turn 1, turn 2, but the Boros Energy has the more broken starts, and the Boros Energy
exactly.
has like a huge amount of reach with Goblin Bombardment and stuff.
Yeah, I was just saying when you were in the bathroom that like this is a very aggressive matchup because both are so early game heavy. But definitely, I agree that the Boros Energies cards are just better, like on a baseline level. Because well, to be a boomer, it's because Boros Energy is a MH3 tribal.
Yeah, and it's a really good tribal deck. It's a two tribals
Yeah.
at the same time by being a cat tribal and a mage tribal deck.
Yeah.
They're going for the beat even harder by not even playing any lightning bolts because it's not a good enough card.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Grixis Shadow is the one who starts, if I remember correctly. They went better in the Swiss. Yep. They start with the bubble look at your bad cards.
Oh no.
And Thoughtseize. There's 2 lands and handful of 3-drops. And Ocelot and Ayani. This is a really hard Thoughtseize because if you have the 1 mana answer, you're probably not gonna take the Ocelot. You really want to take the Ayani because it's a broken card, but you really also want to take something like Fable or Seasoned Pyromancer because if they get to the 3 mana, they can like start going through the deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with the Ayani take because it's also like because the Boros player is gonna miss their turn 1 because they don't have the untapped white source.
Yes, and also like generally, Ahyan is such an or can be such an explosive card, even on its own.
Yeah, it's really annoying because you need to kill the Ayani instead of the token, which shouldn't be like a problem for the Grixis deck because its creatures are bigger than 2 ones. But still, it's just annoying to kill the 1/2. But it's a really slow start from the Boros deck because it is relying on 3-drop cards. When it's usually trying to go from the start of, like, when it usually tries to go like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, do something, and then just spam 1 mana cards.
Yeah.
But what I have played the Boros deck, it can play the slow game with the Seasoned Pyromancers, and because just it feels so good to play Seasoned Pyromancer or the Fable and discarding Flage and escaping it next turn.
Yeah, as we've been talking here in Kuopio, like Boros energy is becoming more and more mid-rangey when compared to what it was in the very beginning.
And this is a huge card in the matchup. Goblin Bombardment is so big because now all of the removal spells they essentially have a text that says take 1 damage.
Yeah.
And because it gives so much reach if the Boros energy gets to like the 3 mana now. Seasoned Pyromancer becomes a lightning bolt that draws 2 cards and blocks almost infinitely. Flage becomes deal 4. Ayani becomes kill you.
Yeah.
Especially because the Boros Energy hasn't applied any pressure, the Grixis Shadow has to deal all of the damage itself if it wants a Shadow out.
I'm so sad that Boros Energy is usually better than Mardu Energy because I really think the black cards were a cool addition to the energy deck.
I understand, but I'm in the different because I really like that a deck is a 2-color deck these days.
Well, I am a domain player, so...
But here's a Death Shadow. Death Shadow is not easily answered by the Boros Energy. The Boros Energy doesn't have like a really clean answers for it. It has Static Prison, but that's not a permanent answer. But here's Ayani.
Uh-oh.
The Boros Energy needs to be somewhat careful with the Ayani, because if they just now sacrifice the token, it probably just dies to a removal spell.
Yeah.
So by doing like passing the turn, they're like almost like making the shadow. They're not making the shadow use the mana, so they're missing the tempo on that.
Exactly.
And because the Ayani would die anyway, it doesn't matter to the Boros deck. But the Grixis Shadow deck cannot just kill the Ayani now. Or the token anyway. Like the Grixis could destroy something like the cat now, and the Ayani probably wouldn't flip, or they would decline to flip it, but of course that's just a bad thing to see still destroying, using a premium removal spell for a token.
This is a really interesting situation to watch because, like, I'm just intuitively thinking, what will they do against the Death Shadow? Are they like thinking about whether the Grixis can make the Death Shadow larger?
Well, now it's like you don't want to take any damage from your cards anymore, because the Boros is gonna do it for you now.
Yeah.
And this is a smart thing to do, like, because the Grixis had the Lightning Bolt, just Lightning Bolt when the Ayani when it's a Planeswalker, so it cannot be Goblin Bombardment, or it cannot be sacrificed to Goblin Bombardment. Like having the third land next turn for the Boros Energy would be a huge thing to see. Just getting the Seasoned Pyromancer active, or just discarding 2, getting 2 1/1s, getting a Flage into the graveyard. And this is a I'd imagine this is a frustration. No third land. And there's the
no
Ocelot
third land with 23 lands.
Being on the draw.
Yeah.
It's harsh. But the game is still not over yet. The Death Shadow isn't gonna kill them on next turn. And you still have, like, if you just draw the land next turn. The Seasoned Pyromancer buys you so much time with its blockers that's gonna provide if you just draw the land next turn. The Shadows and Nethergoyfs ain't getting through of them. And it's also at the same time it's providing so much damage. Drawing the land now would be a really good still. And it's a land. So Seasoned Pyromancer is probably gonna be the play here. Just trying to fish the 4th land for the Flage. And providing many blockers. Yeah, there's Flage and Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Because
can they turn this around?
Yeah, I would say yes, because this is already 4 damage on the board. Just from the Goblin Bombardment sacrifices, not even talking about like attacking. And if they drew the 4th land, they're threatening the Flage with haste, because they can sacrifice the 2 creatures to get 2 more cards in the graveyard, or with the fetch, they need to sacrifice only 1.
Very interesting.
And the Shadow deck is flooding a little bit, which is helping the Boros deck, because they cannot pressure them even more efficiently.
Exactly. A really tight clock now.
On both sides, because the Shadow is a 4/4, the Nethergoyf is 5/6, and the Darcy is 3/3. So the creatures are big on the Grixis Shadow side also.
Wing.
Yeah, I like to block with the Seasoned Pyromancer. Because if you need the 1 card in the graveyard anyway, might as well block with 1 that goes in the graveyard instead of the tokens. Oh, they're shooting the Shadow. That's interesting.
I'm going to 8. So are they going to sack more board to kill the Shadow, or?
Really good question. Because the Shadow has taken 3 damage now. So you could shoot 1 elemental to it and see, yeah. If the Grixis fetches and doesn't shock, then you can kill it still if you want to.
Yeah.
I would say this indicates that the Boros Energy didn't draw a 4th land for the Flage. Because otherwise the board might have been not as necessary. But this is also an interesting choice for the Grixis Shadow. Do you shock? No, they choose not to. And the Boros decides not to shoot the Ocelot.
Yeah, that buys a bit more time, but
Yeah, the game is very tight at the moment. I think there's only 2 stubborn denials in the Grixis Shadow's hand, which are not gonna deal with the Ocelot Pride at least.
nice bluff. Just thinking, flipping around 2 nothing cards.
Do I want to stupor denial this Ocelot Pride or stupor denial it?
Yeah.
And here's a guide. Cat's best friend. And the Ragavan. So the Boros has a huge advantage at the moment, even though they don't know it certainly. Oh no, it was a fatal push. Okay, I thought wrong. Huh. I thought it was a stubborn denial. So now there's a stubborn denial in hand. And another Ocelot. So 6 permanents, 7 permanents. They ain't gonna get the Ascend, but they have 2 blockers for the 2 ground creatures now. And 9 comfortable 9 life.
So Athena, are you watching?
Are you seeing what we are seeing? Yes, again, creatures go sideways. That's their job. And probably gonna see just, yeah, the cats block. And interestingly, not... Or... Yeah, shooting the cats, yeah, just waiting till they get priority. And here's a Dragon Red Channeler. A land is a kill. Land is lethal all the time, or every time.
What do they draw?
And Seasoned Pyromancer is also a kill.
Yes.
Because if there aren't lands, then there's certainly 1/1s. Yeah, make 2 1/1s start pinging you. You can even attack and just do it this, like smart wave.
Yeah.
But
There
yeah,
you go.
that's the first game for the Boros Energy deck. Boros really doesn't have anything like interesting against the Shadow deck in their sideboard. They have like the Celestial Purges and Rat the Skies. Also, Blood Moons are really good. Yeah, they have more than I remembered. And the Shadow has 2 Pyroclasm, 2 Toxic Deluges, and Sheldred's Edict. Because they're removing the 4 stubborn, probably gonna remove the 4 stubborn denials. Because even though their Boros deck has really powerful non-creature spells, the creatures are the most powerful thing still in the deck.
Yeah. And also, this Shadow deck isn't playing the double strike.
Yeah,
card.
Temper Battle Rage.
Yeah, so it has less opportunities to like make very surprising plays and catch the Boros off guard.
Yeah. Not seeing turn 2 play from the Cricket Shadow would indicate that they have like a handful of interaction.
Yeah.
And here we can see the fatal push. I'm not sure if there's a communication that... Yeah, probably. That they were talking about, does the Shadow push? When does the push happen? And yeah, the smart way is to kill it before they get in the field, surprisingly. Here we can see Cecil attacking again. Both players going to 13. Or not. Something happens before damages. Oh no. Oh yeah, fetch happens so the Cecil flips. Yeah, of course, that makes complete sense.
Looks like the Boros player is not watching anymore. She's not in the chat, so...
Yeah, left before the Vietnam flashbacks could happen.
Yeah. So are we doing Pioneer after this still, or is it just this Modern?
If you want to do the Pioneer, we can do it the Pioneer. then it's then it's done in a sense.
Sure.
But yeah, this is an awkward situation for the Boros deck because the 4/4 lifelink is also really hard to answer.
Yeah.
Interesting to see where, like, what they're gonna do now. Are they gonna miss their third land drop again? It's the Goblin Bombardment. And doesn't seem that there is a response.
Yeah, very unfortunate that in the last game the Grixis deck was flooding with 18 lands, and the Boros deck was starving with 23 lands. Yeah.
Yeah, and this feels really good for the Boros player because the DRC didn't have Delirium, so it just died to the Goblin Bombardment. But here was an interesting choice of, do you want to plus the Ayani so it goes to 4, or do you want to just make the cat?
Yeah.
Because against a removal spell, this is a risky line because you can lose it all. And with the +2, the Ayani will stay alive always. Except if the opponent has a Lightning Bolt. And if they have Lightning Bolt, like, nothing changes.
Yes, definitely an interesting situation.
But yeah, I fully agree making the token because it's a higher upside.
Yeah.
And here is, in my opinion, another like interesting choice of, do you want the Cecil to actually hit you so the opponent goes to 12 and the Death Shadows are smaller?
Yeah.
But even though the Boros is missing the land drop, the Goblin Bombardment and Ayani combination is... it's stupid. It's really stupid.
Yeah, it's very oppressive.
It's keeping them in the game.
Yeah. Ayani is such a strong card that some people have even won tournaments with a cat tribal of all things in Modern.
And here we can see, here's 3 1-drops, go!
Yeah, just throwing the 1-drops on the board.
And there's a third land. And I think the Vietnam flashbacks are going to happen here. Oh no, I'm wrong. Yeah, there's Season Pyromancer. Discarding 2, drawing 2, making 2 1/1s. And yeah, here is where it happens. I remember this because the Boros player has little on the board now, making the cat going upstairs with 4 damage and sacrificing everything, and the game is over. But they missed it.
Rip.
I understand completely. It's because you're in this situation, you're going to see the board presence. And of course, the only thing that punishes it, Pyroclasm from top of the deck. It's the only card that punishes this play. Any other card would have been fine. But this is the worst that could have happened. And the Death Shadow, all of the creatures are gonna take 2, and the Death Shadows are 5/5s. So you can kill 1 Shadow and the DRC with the Goblin Bombardment.
At least that. I wonder what the Boros energy deck sideboarded against the Shadow.
It's probably the Celestial Purchase, Blood Moons, and Wrath of the Sky.
Hmm.
Because those are like, well, exile removal for all of the creatures, and well, Wrath just destroys everything, and the Blood Moon can just win the game by locking the creatures from the colors that it needs.
Yeah. Would you sideboard the Ghost Vacuum to try and cancel out Delirium?
No, because it's just a one-off.
Hmm.
And the Grixis Shadow only has to use the graveyard with DRC and Psychic Frog. And because the DRC can, like, both of the creatures can be killed, and the Frog doesn't, like, in a sense, care about the graveyard, it's just a neat upside. Did I count wrong that the... I might have just counted wrong. Because I think the other Death Shadow could have been killed. But I might be wrong, just... But yeah. But yeah, that's the weird flashbacks that happen. But it's a good thing that when you make a bad play, or like in a learning sense, that you made a bad play and you got ultimately punished by it.
Yeah. Missing lethals is like the worst kind of mistake you can make that just haunts you.
And there's a galvanic discharge. Expressive Iteration, which is another huge top deck. Like the Shadow is top decking their way to victory now with... Of course, the deck is full of good cards, but those were probably two best cards to get Pyroclasm first and then get the Express Iteration on the next turn when you are empty-handed. And finding another Shadow.
Yeah.
The Boros Energy still has cards that they can draw that would get them out of this, like... Oh yeah, because... Oh yeah. Yeah, they would need to draw something like the Seasoned Pyromancer again. Because that can block... Like, multiple... Like, it can block and deal damage at the same time. And also now the Boros Energy, by not blocking first and fetching, has opened themselves for a removal spell. Which would cost the game. And let's see... do they get to block? Oh
no.
Those were huge mistakes to make, and they cost them the game. But there is always the third game to go.
Yeah.
Seeing the one-off mountain. It feels so bad to see the mountains. But it's a necessary evil that you need to play because of hopping of the seas.
Yeah.
So, starting game going to 17 I mean, from the fetch, and...
Do they have a Thought Seize?
Usually those are sided out against Boros Energy, but the Grixis Shadow is the only deck that probably doesn't side them out.
Yeah. You actually want to lose life, and you never want to see the Ayani.
Or Goblin Bombardment.
Yeah.
And those are the most efficient answers.
Exactly.
Or efficient cards, so the efficient answer is the Thoughtseize. Let's see if also the Boros Energy is gonna miss some land drops again, because that has seemed to be the thing that happens. There's the second land at least, and a Goblin Bombardment. In every game there has been a Goblin Bombardment, which we have talked about being a stupidly good card for this deck. Swamp. Yeah, I saw the Thoughtseize in their hand. Winning a land, and there's the third land. And that seems a reasonable hand to have. 2 3-drops and the third land, Ocelot, Wrath the Skies. Depending on what Grixis has, it could be Fable of the Mirror Breaker or the Wrath the Skies. Or the Season Pyromancer, but I would imagine it's the... Oh. Another Thoughtseize. Yikes. Taking both of the 3-drops.
Really not being afraid of the mass removal.
Yeah, because taking out those 2 cards, the hand almost becomes nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how those cards really bring a lot more mid-ranginess and staying power for the Boros Energy, and how with 4 Flages you can even get extra tempo from the discard.
And they give so much like longevity for the deck. Losing those 2 is huge. Not for like, even for like, because they also make so many bodies, so they make the Goblin Bombardment so good, and they also go through your deck. There's the Wrath the Skies in hand and mystery card, and the Boros Energy doesn't have their second white sauce for now.
Wow, we have 6 watchers on the stream, counting me, I guess.
Well, when it was, there was 11 at one point. And the Nihil Spellbomb now means that even a Flage isn't a really good top deck anymore. Flage would have been good before it, for giving, again, more longevity for the deck, but... Now the Grixis is cutting all the like possibilities that the Boros has. The Goyf is probably 4, I would say, because there's Delirium. There's Mrs. Bubble, Land, Thoughtseize, and Thoughtseize, and something. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, doing the first strike damage first, and then dealing 1 to the... Oh yeah, I know that Boros Energy's hand now. It's the last card is Blood Moon. I just remember seeing the game now. Which is really frustrating card to have at this point, because if you Blood Moon now, you cannot flood the skies next turn, and you aren't even cutting every color from the Grixis Shadow, because they're still having the black from the swamp. Yeah, they paid
it's a deck that has red, so they can actually utilize them red as well.
But yeah, we saw that the Breath the Skies was casted X equals 2, but only 1 energy was used, because you get X amount of energy, so you don't need to use all of it. But yeah, Blood Mooning even now doesn't feel especially great, because they have the black, they can still deploy more creatures, more threats, more everything. So again, we're in a situation where Seasoned Pyromancer would be the best draw in the deck. Or I would take anything, any 3-drop almost. But Seasoned Pyromancer again would be the best top deck to see.
For sure.
Another Nethergoyf from the hand. That's rough. And I remember, yeah, correctly, they drew Thraben Charm at this point. Which is again interesting thing to like decide, do you want to Blood Moon now, or do you want to take out the graveyard? If you take out the graveyard, the other Nethergoyf cannot come from the graveyard. But if you cast the Blood Moon, they might not be able to cast anything from their hand. And there we can see at least a frog. So in a sense it was a lose-lose situation.
Talking about Goyfs, do you think that Barrow Goyf should have been printed in the main set and not only in the Commander release?
Yeah, that's an interesting talking point. I've heard both views from that, but I think it should have been printed in the main set.
Yeah, I agree, because it's like a 3-drop in the same theme and same synergy, plus its combat damage trigger is something that can really counteract some counterplay against Lurgoyfs as well.
Yeah, because it doesn't also have an like ETB effect, so it isn't like immediately threatening. It doesn't do anything when it comes to the field except be a big life-linking Death Toucher. Something like a Pyrogoyf, I would say no for it, because it does something immediately. Because Goyfs have, like, they usually are just a big, large dummies on the board.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just too nostalgic for Tarmogoyf, but I think it should have been like a main set card.
I think that lifelinking Goyf should have been. It's a fair card. It's just a beater. A really good beater with a really powerful effect, but you still need to untap with it.
Yeah, and it's a 3-cost beater in a format where we have so many good 2-cost beaters already. So many good ones that even Tarmogoyf is power crept. A 3-cost is not too much.
But yeah, that's an interesting talking point to like make. But instead of that, they printed Nado.
Yeah. Well, maybe in MH4 we get a modern legal Barrow Goyf print. then I guess you can return to your roots to Jund.
Well, my roots are in debt and taxes. That's never gonna be playable in Modern again. But I wouldn't want to play it. I don't want to play bad creatures anymore. But yeah, here's a Traben Charm. Probably just removing the graveyard, so making the Goyfs 0/1s. So this is effectively like Fog, except I see a lightning bolt in their hand, so that makes the guys 1/2s.
Yeah.
And I would
I was just saying that it would be even more based if they printed Pyro Goyf as a finisher.
I think Pyrogoyf shouldn't be a modern card. I think that's too powerful.
Even for a 4-drop?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit too much, I would say. Because giving mid-range decks a random... I'll deal you 5 damage. I think Pyrogoyf says every Goyf deals, right?
Enters whenever it or another lure Goyf enters the battlefield.
Yeah, I would say that's a little bit too powerful. Because in this format you can play a deck where you play like Nether Goyfs, Pyrogoyfs, and probably some other Goyfs. In Legacy it seems to be a little bit harder to play.
And that's true, that's true.
And even the Cecil is not good. Ayani is an excellent top deck.
Oh no, yeah.
But I'm not sure, yeah, because the Boros Energy plays 1, I don't think this is even enough though. Because to kill the Cecil they need to sacrifice, deal 1, flip Ayani, make token, deal 1, and they need to sacrifice, they died the Goyf, and the Goyf is also 2/3. So it isn't enough.
Yeah.
So from the board state, the Grixis Shadow has a clear, or they have a lethal on the board, even through the Ayani. They can like, yeah, they can block with both and sacrifice and flip the Ayani to stay alive. Depending on does the Grixis have a removal spell. And that's technically any removal would have done it, but that's the best removal. Removing both. And I don't see that the Boros Energy has anything to do with it anymore.
Really lucky draws. A lot of lucky draws in this best of 3 in general.
Yeah. But also, like, the Boros also fumbled there. They made misplays and they got punished because of the misplays. That's what happens when you make misplays. And there's only Arena of Glory in hand, so yeah. There's nothing that the Boros Energy can do anymore. Yeah, it's crushing. The feeling of losing to a misplay like that is it's a crushing feeling. Like, it's just a feeling that yeah, you could have done better, but it happens.